Hello, and welcome back to Minecraft. Today is going to be an episode of taking things a little bit easy because I don't have as much time to record as I normally do. And so for this one, we're going to be back at our starter base and we're going to be working on improving some of the stuff that is over here. I've written up a list of things that still need to be done in this area, and we're not going to get all of these things done in one episode. Like I said, I don't have time this week, but we're going to get started on some of these things. Okay, so here is the list of things that I've written down. We need to spruce up the skeleton farm that we have. That is down there underneath that little tiny island right here that connects to our nether portal. There is a skeleton farm down there, and it's pretty basic. I usually have to, when I'm working on enchanting or anything like that, I usually have to run back and forth between here and my starter base to use the enchanting setup or anything like that. And I think it's about time that I put an enchanting station and an anvil and everything like that down there and make it look nice. The other thing is that I want to beautify the copper farm that we got started making that's underneath our base in the last episode. It's very basic right now, and I would like it to look nice. Right now, because of all of the projects we're working on, I have a ton of extra stone, and at the moment, all of that extra stone is just starting to pile up. This is only some of the extra stone that I have, and it kind of looks not great over here, just stacked in the corner like this. I also have some even further down, and I have some over at the village. So I need to find a place to kind of store those extra resources. Normally, the place to put those would be in shulker boxes so that you can condense them down more in these chests, but I don't have access to shulkers yet because I haven't been to the end. Another task that I'd like to do eventually is to set up an armory that's near the enchanting setup. So this is our enchanting setup. It's right across from our storage room. And I think it would be nice to have some kind of armory or something to put all of my extra tools and things over here. Because right now, they're just clogging up some of my chests over there and even in here a little bit. And I think I need a better place to store those. So I think maybe extending an area back here or something like that might be something that works out for us so that we can easily access it from here and also kind of get it out of our main storage room and prevent it from clogging that up. The next thing that I have is that we have a small issue with the tree farm that I built. Here is that tree farm, and I'm sure anyone who knows anything about growing trees probably already sees the issue, but for some reason this just did not register to me. I should not have built the supporting pillars in here out of wood because every time I grow a tree, the leaves connect to these blocks and they don't despawn, which means that I need to manually go in and then break all of the leaves that have touched any of these logs. So I think I'm going to need to replace these inner pillars with something else to prevent that from happening in the future. Next, we need to kind of extend the mine hallway, and this just leads down to all of our farms and leads all the way down to deep slate and stuff. I just want to make sure that that kind of looks more like how it looks here, so that it's all like kind of done up, because at some point this kind of just stops down here. As you can see, we hit an area where it just kind of turns to stone and everything, so I'd like to get this extended a little bit further at some point. I'd also like to make the amethyst hallway look better. And that is right up here. We have this hallway that leads all the way to the double amethyst area that we found quite a few episodes ago. And right now, this hallway is very basic, has a little bit of decoration, but nothing too good. Eventually, I'd like to come in here and just make this look a little less bland than it looks right now. We need to finally make a sniffer farm at some point. We were able to find 2 eggs, and they've just been sitting in a chest. And I'd love to be able to get some of the flowers from them, as well as just have some sniffers around, because they're really cute and I really like them. A few episodes ago, we found a trial chamber, and I would like to, with these 2 steps here, I would like to focus on making a proper path that goes to it and setting up a minecart so that way we can get to and from there whenever we need to with a lot more ease. At this point, I think we need to work on making some auto bone meal farms. And what I mean by this isn't exactly to make farms that automatically make bone meal, but rather farms that use bone meal to grow other items. So things like lichen, ferns, etc., just to bone meal them so that we can get those resources a lot faster without me having to do it manually. Along the lines of working on this hallway I'm stood in front of, we still need to clear out that second geode. I found it, but I never fully cleared it out. And then we'll need to set up some collectors within the floor of those geodes so that we grab all of the crystals that I break much easier. Because right now I just have to run around on the floor and gather everything, and it can be quite tedious. And the very last thing that we have on this list is going to be out here. We need to fix this bridge over here and create the next one. So when I made this bridge, I kept it pretty low to the water. But as you can see, this now means that we cannot boat underneath here. And I don't really like that. I want to be able to go through this area easy with a boat so that we can traverse and see all of the things that we've made along this river line. So I'm going to change this bridge up, make it a little bit higher in the center. And then at some point over on this side, I need to create a bridge that goes over here that's going to work for this much smaller gap over here. And I want it to match the bridge that we built over there in style. This is a much smaller area, so this arch is going to be probably a lot higher to accommodate boats, because I definitely still want to be able to come this way, because we go this way whenever we need anything like mud or anything. You can barely see it out in the distance, but there is a swamp that way, and it leads into a mangrove swamp over there. So we still want access to that, and we want to be able to use our boat to do that. So I think the premise for today's episode is basically going to be that anything I can get done in the time that I have is what this episode is going to be. And I think I'm going to go ahead and start in here by replacing these pillars with something that's not going to break my farm. I think I'm going to go ahead and exchange these out for a variety of deep slate blocks, because I think that will also kind of look nice in here, and then I'll just reclaim all of this wood to use for later. All right, there we go. This room is now fixed. Now when I grow trees in here, they shouldn't stick to the walls and I shouldn't have as hard of a time. I think the only thing that will still stick is probably vines. When I grow like jungle trees and stuff, those usually have vines. But now that'll be the only thing I really need to worry about, and I think it's okay if a few vines grow around in here. It's not too big of a deal. So we can go ahead and we can remove this from the book. I'm down in our amethyst tunnel for our next project, and I think this is going to be an area to store all of our extra stone supplies. And I think what I'm going to do is probably dig a little area out right here for a ton of chests. And it looks like some of this will be easier for us since we already have a little bit of an area here that looks to be dug out. I'm thinking that something along the lines of this should work for a bunch of extra storage, and I'll want to make it look a little bit nicer in here. I've made a bit of a simple design in here, just a few arches, and I'm probably going to put most of my chests near these walls, which is why I haven't added anything at the top. I think I might line the ceiling with some slabs. I'm thinking probably deep slate, so it's a little bit different in here. I think that would be a really good idea. And then we'll have all of our chests back here to be filled with stone and stuff like that. I have plenty of supplies for that. All right, I definitely think this is going to help. So far, we have quite a few chests full of stone here. I've started working on. Stops here, but I have a lot over at the village. I think one or two double chests full still to bring over. So we'll probably be up to maybe here and have a few more for some extra spill off. I can also add it over here or in these side corners or anything like that. And then, since this is such a long hallway, if this ever runs out of room, or say I fill this whole area with stone and I need an area for diorite or andesite or tuff or anything, I can always make some more storage areas further on. I think that would be a really smart idea to just keep my bulk storage down here, because I don't really have any other reason for this hallway except for it's a large hallway. So I think this would be a really good step to kind of decorating this area. And with that, we can go ahead and mark this off the list as well. I want to work on the armory for this room next, and I was originally thinking about making a hallway here, then I realized we kind of have something in this room that I think would work better. And I think it's a painting. So I think we're going to build a room back here, a little bit more hidden. I've never really used any of these paintings to hide a doorway behind before in any of my worlds, so I think it's about time I maybe do that. All right, I think I have our armory set up. We can sneak through here, and we've got a little room hidden inside. I have some decorative armor here, which might eventually change once we get started with things like doing trims and stuff like that. We might make these really fancy and nice to look at. Over on this side over here, we've got a lot of chests. I've started to kind of organize it, and I still kind of need to organize it. I immediately kind of forgot what I was up to, I guess. But we'll put all of our gold stuff in here, and I was putting all of our leather stuff in here. And then diamond armor will go in here, and all of our tools will go in here. We have some extra tools and little things that you don't use as often, like the brush in here. And then I've got all of our armor trims. We have quite a few of them, and I'm pretty happy with that. But at some point, we'll definitely need to go and look for even more of them. And then once we finally get all of our netherite armor done, since we're still in kind of like shabby diamond gear, we will probably go ahead and work on these and trying to find something that looks really nice for us. Over here, I have a shelf set up, and I don't have anything in this yet, but eventually I would like to put something in this so we can use this as like a gear swap station. So if you don't know, if you put redstone behind these, and I have redstone blocks right behind here, you can use it to swap your hotbar. And if I put a bunch of other items in my hotbar, I can then swap between the two. So eventually I'd like to have something over here that I can swap to, maybe a mining thing or a nether thing, something like that, just to make it easier for me to grab my gear and go right away. And of course, I used some of the other shelves, just kind of decorative in here. I can always add little bits into the slots here, or even put maybe redstone behind them so that they look more like these ones. I'm not entirely sure yet. Overall, though, I think this is a really great room to have, and it will definitely keep my areas unclogged. I was able to take everything out of here, as well as everything out of this one over here. This is mostly just arrows and stuff in here, nothing too big to be concerned about. And of course, because I moved all of those armor trims over, now we have a lot more room in our valuables chest over here for any more sherds that we might find or little bits that would go in here that don't have another place. And with that, we can mark this off our list. I think we're making some good headway in this episode. So I was thinking I'd really like to work on this room today over here where we have our copper farm set up, but I want to get more of these blocks, and I think the best place to do that would be to go to the trial chamber that we went to and to kind of scavenge some of the stuff there, and then we can just use our axe to scrape the wax off of them. We can bring them here. This is our little hallway here that leads to that trial chamber, and I'm thinking I might want to go ahead and widen this out. And I'm going to place some torches right here so that it's easier for me to find when I come down here, because I have quite a few little areas that it could have been in, and I got a little confused. And I think I'm going to go ahead and take my fortune pick out for this instead of my silk touch one, because the silk touch deep slate can't be turned into the other variants, so it's not as useful. Got diamonds right off the bat. That's great. My plan right now isn't to fully decorate this hallway, just to make it a little bit wider, and then we're probably going to go ahead and lay down some tracks so that we can get through this part of the mine without having to run and waste hunger. And honestly, the great thing about digging this tunnel is that I am genuinely nearly out of deep slate, and I use it a lot, so this will help kind of replenish some of that. And while I work on digging this out, I figure I could talk about why I have less time this week to work on an episode. Last week, I took a little bit of a break. I had recorded my Stardew Valley episode a bit early so that I could take some time off to spend with my partner. He had been using a very old computer at this point, and it wasn't working super well, and so we needed to kind of invest in a new computer and get him kind of set up with something that was going to be running a bit better. So while we were doing that, we decided that it would probably be smart to go ahead and rearrange our apartment around, because before we were sitting right next to each other in our living room, and that meant that I couldn't record while he was home. And if we wanted to record something together, like if I ever wanted to have him as a guest, or if he ever wanted to do anything by himself, we couldn't, because we were too close together and we would be getting some really bad echo. So with our week off, we went ahead and we moved my computer into the other room, so that way we won't hear each other if we want to talk to each other while we're recording or anything like that. And I think that's really cool news, because that means that me and him could do some stuff together, and I'm really excited for that. I really love playing games with him, and so I think it's going to be a lot of fun. Might be a little while before we're fully ready to commit to recording something, but now that we have this set up, it is a possibility, and I'm very excited for that. I've been wanting to play some other games on my channel besides just Minecraft and Stardew Valley, but a lot of the ones that I like are multiplayer, and I like playing them with him, so hopefully we'll be able to figure something out in the future so that we can do something together. Additionally, since I'm in the other room, hopefully this means that you guys won't have to hear as much of the noise from the hallway or from the traffic that goes by outside, because I know that sometimes I can't fully edit that out of my videos, so hopefully it's a little bit easier on your guys' ears now that I'm in the other room. Well, I'm gonna bring you guys back in because I'm pretty sure I just found a zombie spawner. That's kind of convenient. I'm gonna light up down this hallway a little ways. Sir? No, thank you. Okay, so we have plenty we could explore down here, but that's not really the purpose of what we're doing right now. But I did want to light this up just so we don't have stuff creeping into here. This is really cool, actually. This is kind of convenient having this right here. I might even just leave this just the way that it is. Kind of name tag and stuff in here. That's pretty good. Go ahead and take all that. And I think I might just block this off so that nothing comes in through there. I'm saying that this is convenient, but this is actually kind of inconvenient because it's right through our path here. Not entirely sure if I'll do something with it, but definitely something to consider for the future. And it'll be easy to remember since it's right on the path. What's funny about finding something like that is that if I had just dug on the other side, because I was considering digging 2 blocks that way, but realized the torches were already placed and didn't want to have to deal with that. If I had dug just slightly that way, I would have missed this completely and probably just thought that those zombies were in a cave. That's so funny. I am just lighting up a caved area that I found that was in the tunnel, and I found some diamonds. That's always a pleasant surprise, and I don't want to hang out with that guy. I really don't. I really don't want to hang out with him. So we're going to block him off. Don't want to be his friend right now. If I can get back out safely. And I was just throwing down some torches so that we don't hear as many zombie noises and stuff like that. We made it to the geode on the way to the trial chamber, so we're getting pretty close. I think I can see where we're turning up there. Got ourselves some decent diamonds going on with all of this mining. Those are definitely going to come in handy probably in the next episode. We've finally reached the trial chamber. I'm just going to make this area a bit wider as well. I'll need to go back and get all of our rails and everything like that so that we can make the path here a lot easier to get through. But I think we've made some really good progress so far. Here's a good overview of all the ore that we got digging that tunnel. Not too bad at all. I'm going to head into the trial chamber and start gathering some supplies over there. And I think I'm going to go ahead and equip this because I'm not 100% sure that these are safe. I'm trying to decide what I want the rail line to go on, so that way I don't have to pick it up at any point, and I don't want it on the bare floor here. I kind of am thinking I want to follow the theme that we have in here for this hallway, so I'm kind of thinking I might go ahead and start taking some of this floor. Hearing all the trial chamber noises and I'm a little bit freaked out, I'm not gonna lie. Hopefully I've grabbed enough, and I'm thinking I'm gonna replace the center line with the materials that I just gathered, so that way we can put our railway here and not have to move it. Not sure what the rest of the design for the hallway will be at all at this point, but I figure this is a good place to start. I actually didn't have enough. I had 3 stacks plus 6 of these copper blocks, and I did not have enough. I just barely made it almost to the entrance, but didn't make it the full way here. That's kind of frustrating. I'll have to grab some more when I'm back over there. For now, though, I need to go up and get some railways and stuff like that so that we can get that going, so we can get back over there, because I still need resources from over there. And I think I'm just going to pop this Silk Touch Deep Slate over here into one of these barrels for now. I think I'm not going to be using it super often, so it might be good to just leave it down there so it's not clogging my normal chests. All right, I think I've gathered enough supplies. I'm going to take a moment here to grab some of these, though. I don't know exactly how many I'm going to need, but I grabbed that bottom row there, and I have some extra wax on me as well. The rail line is ready. In the future, I'll make this area look a lot nicer than it does right now, because right now it's just looking like a bland corridor. But I'm pretty happy with us being able to get down here and not having to run or waste any food or anything like that. I think overall that's going to be a really good change. And that is a long tunnel, so that's definitely going to be a help. I have all of these extra supplies here still, but I think I want to focus on getting the supplies that I want from this trial chamber kind of first before I get these to bring home as well. I think this dark oxidized copper is mainly what I want over here right now, so this is what I'm going to be focusing on gathering. I did a little bit of gathering, so we got quite a bit of these basic ones, and then we've got some of these cut ones, and a little bit of the extra stuff. Weirdly enough, I found some unwaxed ones of these. I'm kind of surprised by that. That is what we need, though, is the unwaxed versions for what I want to do next, but I just thought it was kind of strange that I found ones that weren't waxed. I'm going to take as much of that stuff as I can. I might just go ahead and leave that there just so I can take one more of those. And I'll probably also pop that on so that I can take one extra stack even more. And I'd like to go ahead and say that we're done with setting up the minecart to the trial chamber now that we have that. And I'm going to use some of this deep slate that we just brought back to go ahead and make a little bit of an easier path over here, so I don't have to jump in the water every single time I want to go this direction. All right, now when we come down here, we can head straight over there. I widened up where the lava was and everything as well, so now it's just a quick shot over here. No jumping in water, no avoiding as much lava as possible or any of that. Just come straight over. I think I'm going to go ahead and get started down here by working on the hallway first, just so that we kind of have somewhere to begin. And once I get that hallway done, then we will be working on this major room. I'm starting to make some progress on the hallways here, and I've made a decision about what I kind of want to do with this room. And it's going to require that I change the dimensions of this room and shift this layout a little bit so that I have a little bit more room to decorate. And that's so that I can put this kind of fancy like border around it, and so that I can have like a strip of jungle wood all the way around to walk around the area. So I need to make some adjustments for that. I've also started to make some progress down here, and I've started to run out of supplies. As you can see, I kind of ran out of the spruce wood, so I'm going to have to go get plenty of that to continue working. But I have continued the flooring all the way down into our lava area, which isn't very far off from here now. And I don't have fire tick on, so this isn't going to catch on fire and light my base on fire or anything. But I think this is a good start to getting us down here. I am going to definitely have a lot more work to do in these hallways to get them up to par. I think I might continue out to about here and then stop with the hallway just because I don't yet have ideas of what to put in these areas. I can hear a drowned from here, but I don't really know what I want to put down here yet anyways, and so it seems kind of silly to over prepare this area if I'm not even ready to use it yet. For now, though, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to go get some more spruce wood because we definitely need some of that so that we can start to do the layout in here. Then I'm going to need to start digging this area out because it needs to be quite a bit bigger. I just finished harvesting our spruce farm over here, and we got a lot of logs. I think that should hopefully be enough for the remainder of the project, but if not, we'll just come back over here and we'll get some more. All right, I've started to make some real progress in here. I got everything dug out, and I finished up all the walls in here with what I wanted to go with. I still need to add this border here up to the top because it's going to be mirrored up there, but otherwise we're in good standing to go ahead and start deciding what we want to do for the floor here. Additionally, you can see there's a big hole in the roof, and that's because there is a giant cave out here. Not sure if I showed this off when I made the farm or not, but there is a giant cave here and there are a lot of resources. So I wanted to leave this open so that we can eventually come in here and mine for a lot of these. I will need to continue to light some of this area up though, because at the moment it's not incredibly safe in here. But I think the caving expedition will be for another day, because we've got to finish this room. For now, so nothing comes to get us, I am going to block this off, and we will open it up when we're ready to go out there. As a reminder, when I extended this room, it was with the intention of moving everything down by one. So we will be using the light gray to kind of tell us where the oxidized or the copper blocks need to go so that we can oxidize them. And I think I can go ahead and use a few of these to kind of talk about what I want to do for the floor in here. Right now, these blocks are waxed, so I will need to scrape them, but I'm thinking about surrounding each one of these areas with this. From my understanding, as long as they aren't waxed, the block here will be more likely to oxidize faster because it sees that there are more oxidized blocks around it. So that is what I'm going to go with. So this is kind of what it'll start looking like, and then we will come in with some other blocks to fill in these other areas once we've got this all settled in. Next, I need to figure out what I'm going to do in these little gaps because I don't want to leave them just stone. I have a few ideas, so I'm going to go ahead and try a few and see what I like the most. All right, so here are some of my ideas. I've got some pale moss over the top of some torches. I've got some regular moss over the top of some torches. I have some trap doors over a mix of magma blocks and shroomlights, and I have some non-transparent trapdoors over some torches as well. I'm thinking that this is very interesting, this one here, but I don't have the resources for this, and I'm not sure I'd be able to get that done in this episode. So that kind of leaves me with either these or this. I could also technically use carpet here as well. Doesn't have to be moss. So for example, I could use this dark carpet here. Oops, if I like that more. I think I'm going to go ahead and pass on these two as well because I won't be able to transfer these easily to the roof up here if I want to use that. I would need to do something else. So I'm thinking this might be the best option that I have, and I think I hopefully have enough spruce left to be able to do something like that. I think I'm quite happy with the way that turned out, actually. This makes it very clear where I'm supposed to place the blocks, and it looks really nice in here. I still need to go through and scrape, though. There, now everything no longer has wax on it, so that should mean that it should help whatever we place oxidize faster. And with that in mind, we can go ahead and set out our next batch of these to go ahead and get ready to start oxidizing. I think it'll be much easier to work on this roof from up top, which means that I'm going to have to excavate up here just so that I can work on it. And then I'll have like a maintenance area, so that'll be quite nice. And it looks like we've run into one of our farms here, so I'll just have to be careful not to break fully into that. I've got our maintenance area done, so now it is time to move these little spots and then we can get the roof in. And with that, the whole roof is done up here. I got the trapdoors in and everything. I went ahead and put the torches up here. Looks like I missed one, but I went ahead and put the torches up here so that they'll provide light and make sure nothing spawns up here or anywhere near here. And the light should go through the trapdoors. We can head on down here, and I've completed the room as well. And it's looking really nice in here. I'm quite happy with the way that it came out. It's a very large room, and it's very open, but this gives us plenty of space to go ahead and add all of our copper bits to continue aging them and everything like that. I think this room will get a lot of use. For now, I'm thinking about adding some of these smaller copper parts, the ones that you need to craft before you oxidize, just so that I can get kind of a head start on some of these in case I need them for future projects. I think that looks all filled in, and that will definitely get me started. I did craft a lot more, so I'll have even more to place down once this all fully oxidizes. With where it's positioned in my base, as long as I'm here, I think that stuff will start to oxidize while I'm just doing normal base things like putting stuff in storage or anything like that. You can see that some of this has already started to oxidize just a little bit, and all I did was place everything, so I'm quite happy with that. Over here, I have my crafting station and a stone cutter and all of the different barrels for the different types of oxidation levels. I can always extend this storage out further if I need any more space, but I'm not sure how much copper I'll be oxidizing in the future. Overall, I'm really happy with the way that this room came out, and I wasn't really sure when I would be able to come back here. In some ways, it's kind of good that I didn't have enough time this week to do what I originally planned because it gave me a lot of time to work on some of my chores. I think we can go ahead and mark off the extension of the mining hallway here, and then we can also mark off beautifying the copper farm. I went ahead and moved some of the stuff from the second page to this one, so now we have a much shorter list going on. Just a few more things that we'll need to do, and I'm sure in the future I'll have a time where I need another chore day, so these will be great for that. I'm hoping to have our next episode be a big one. I am slowly losing my mind dealing with all of the durability on everything, and I think it's going to be time that we finally get all of our librarians set up in their homes so that way we can fully properly enchant and get mending and everything like that so that I don't have to keep spending a million levels repairing everything. I know in the future that will probably mean that I need to look more in depth into making some kind of an XP farm rather than just the skeleton farm, but I'm up for the challenge. If you made it this far in the video, I really appreciate you coming along with me today. Thanks for hanging out while I got some small chores done around the base. Thanks for watching. I hope to see you again. Bye!